has drawn peg 36.
All right, Rob.
Good morning, David. I want to get me fingers smacked. Right, I'll go for that one. 74.
Thank you.
David Robbins has drawn peg 74.
Welcome to another episode of Cadence Fishing TV, and I'm fishing in Evesham today, the famous Hampton Ferry with Diane. It's the first round, or the first qualifier this season, isn't it, Di?
It certainly is.
So it's actually June the 16th, opening day.
Yep.
And most people have done the draw.
Yes.
How many people have you got fishing today?
80.
80 pegs in
Yeah.
today.
80 pegs are in today, yes.
Brilliant. It's a beautiful day, isn't it? I can't believe it.
Neither can I.
It's not going to be ideal for the fishing, I don't think. But
No, I can't believe it either, because for the last 5 or 6 years, the river has always been in flood or it's been pouring with rain on the first day.
yeah.
But this couldn't get it any better than this.
No, it is. It's beautiful. And it's beautiful to be back after such a long period with all the lockdown last year. I mean, when's the last match you actually had on the ferry day?
Well, since the August Bank Holiday Festival last year, we've had one match since. Coronavirus has got a lot to answer for.
It has, and I know it was a real challenge for you last year because
Yes.
we just didn't know what was happening, did we?
No.
We did manage to get all the qualifiers in, and we had the final. Much sort of low-key event
Yes.
compared to normal.
Yes.
But fingers crossed that we're going to be back to normal this
I
year.
sincerely hope, but what's normal? We've worked hard, we've done things and actually given us a chance to make things different in some instances. But what is normal?
Yeah,
I think we should probably keep the way that we do the draw,
yeah.
only a little better than we did it this morning. I'm so out of practice, I just didn't get it all sussed. But we will. But it's been hard.
Yeah.
And I sincerely hope that this year everybody is sort of so anxious to get back that it's going to be bigger and better than it's ever been.
I think you're right, and I mean I think the attendance today has proved that, hasn't it?
Yes.
You know, for
Yes.
effectively a Wednesday
Well,
match.
this week I could have sold myself if I was a ticket. I mean, the phone rings and I've been on to book in a ticket and it says it's sold out. Yeah, that's right, sold out.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I hope is that we can get back to a normal draw where you actually draw out of the bag.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a great system at the moment, which is like a grid, isn't it?
Yes, it's taken from battleships.
Yeah, that's
if anybody's played battleships, they'll know what it is.
But it's worked well, and well done to you and all the staff here for
Yeah.
making it happen again.
Oh, the staff are brilliant.
Yeah. And
They
we've,
really are.
I mean, I've been fishing the qualifiers here for over 25 years.
Yeah.
And I think you've probably been running matches here a bit longer, haven't you?
Yes,
Guy?
just a bit. I used to help my dad when I was little. I was born here, lived here all my life, and fishing is sort of in the blood. I've often said I love all the fishermen, and somebody says, "Well, surely you must have met somebody you don't like." I said, "No, I've never met one I don't like." I said, "But there are some that I love more than others." But yes, no, as
Well, that's very diplomatic, but we are a certain breed, aren't we? I think fishermen, and most fishermen are pretty easygoing.
Yeah.
I mean, none of us are really happy with the peg we draw, are we? I
No,
don't think.
no, you never ever go. And obviously, if you draw what is considered to be a crack peg, then you're expected to fish and do something on it. And if you don't, well, you're an idiot.
Well,
so that you can't win.
No, that's it, and that's fishermen. So, Di, you drew for me today, and you drew me peg 74. Not one of my favourite pegs, but I'm going to give it my best shot.
Well, perhaps this year it'll be one of the favourites, because they do change. Every year there's another peg that sort of creeps in that we've never really reckoned with before, and yes, it does win quite regularly, some of them. And we had hoped in the close season to get some dredging done. It's still on the cards that it's going to happen, so that we shall fish some of the pegs up the town. And we're also having some restocking done.
Yeah.
But trying to get it all sorted, I think...
It's been a challenge, hasn't it, for everything?
It's been a challenge
to do
for
anything
everything.
in the last year.
But we're going to win.
But thanks again, Di. I'm going to get off to my peg and get set up.
And make sure you win. I'm instructing you to win.
And we'll perhaps have another chat later, all
yes.
right?
Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you. Well, this is peg 74, and as I mentioned when I was talking to Di, it's not really the greatest peg to draw on the day. It's probably the deepest, one of the deepest pegs on the whole stretch. It's about 14, 15 foot deep. Can be a great peg in the winter, particularly when the bream are about, but this time of year you typically want to be on the shallower pegs. Certainly if you're targeting the roach. With it being the first match of the season and opening day, there's quite often big fish feed. And I think that the sort of favourite pegs are going to be up on the top of the town, peg 1 and peg 2. But pretty much most of the town pegs are quite shallow, so you've got a good opportunity of either targeting the silver fish or going for bigger fish, which some people do from the very start. I tend to fish Evesham a bit more cautiously, particularly if I'm on a tough peg or in a tough area like this, and just try and focus on winning my section. If I can win my section, you know, that's great, and maybe on a hard day you'll sneak in a frame. So the way I've approached this peg is to be very careful to start with. I've started off on bread punch, which is my favoured sort of method really to start at Evesham, particularly when the river's low and clear like this. And a great thing about starting on bread is you'll determine if there's any roach in your peg. I've been fishing now for about half an hour, and I started off on the bread and had a couple of small skimmers or pommies, what we call pommies, which are roach bream hybrids, one roach and a small chub. So it's not going mad, but I'm sticking with it. I'm loose feeding hemp over the top to give me another option maybe later in the match if I can get the roach feeding on the hemp. And I'm feeding a close in line just with maggots to start with, and I can turn that into a worm line. Basically just trying to catch what I can to start with, and obviously if I'm not catching on one line I can turn that into a big fish sort of swim. But I've set myself a target of £5, which I think will be a challenge today on a peg like this. One thing that you will notice, which is a bit of a help, is even though the river's very low, there is a tinge to it, and I think that's due to algae, because we've had pretty much a month now of hot sunny weather. We haven't had any rain, and the river's not gin clear. You can see some colour from that algae, and that'll perhaps help us a bit. It's interesting that always early on in the season we catch these pommies, and I'm sure somebody somewhere will have a weight of those today. But, just going to try a pinky over the top of my bread punch before I perhaps try my inside line and see if I can catch any perch close in. Another issue that I'm faced with today is peg 74 is not only deep, but it's very snaggy. I know from experience that past 11 metres, almost straight across the river in front of me, there's a big snag. It must be a tree or something. So I'm sort of limited to fishing this side of 11 metres on the pole. And also today, I've been double banked, which is really unusual on a match day here, but we've got caravans opposite, and I think because it's opening day, June the 16th, one of the caravanners was up very early in the morning and fishing opposite me, so that's kind of restricted me, because on this peg I quite like to fish over towards that tree where we'll get some shade later in the day, but obviously I can't do that today. But never mind, it's just one of those days where you got to get your head down and try and catch what you can. I'm not panicking, I'm not going to fish too many methods all at once and feed bait all over the river. I'm just going to feel my way in, and hopefully we'll get some fish feeding. So the other methods I'm going to consider today is I've set up a bream rod, a ground bait feeder rod, just in case I think there's some bream around or I'm not going anywhere. I shall put some feed on that line and kind of go for it with the hope of catching a bream or two. And I've also set up a small maggot feeder, which is a great method here at Evesham on hard days. And I shall fish that down my peg and just down the middle, away from those snags, and hopefully target some perch, maybe some eels, just to give me another area in the peg to fish. And that's a method that's been really good over the years here at Evesham. But on a deep peg like this, it pretty much rules out float fishing when the river's low like this. You know, if there was some pace on, you could fish a bollow, but I think today that's not going to be a method to really consider. Normally I'd set a waggler up as well, but again, it's very deep here, and if I fished a waggler, I'd want to be fishing right over, so I've eliminated that today. But I think that's a good way of fishing here. You definitely can set too many methods up and perhaps confuse yourself and spread the fish out. So my mentality at Evesham is just to eke out what I can and take it really easy and try and build the peg up. Well, we're coming into the last half hour of the match, and as predicted, it's been a really tough affair with this bright sunshine. I didn't really add much on the bread punch on the pole. I kept trying it and also tried the hemp, but not caught any roach. I just don't think the roach are in this deep water. So I've really concentrated on the little maggot feeder method, and it's worked quite well. It's got me out of trouble anyway. I've had 2 or 3 perch and 3 eels. So I reckon I've probably got, I'm hoping I've got 3 pounds, 2.5 to 3 pound. It really has been a struggle. I've not been able to get a bite on much else really. Not caught anything on the pole close in. But this method's worked well, and I just missed a bite on the last cast off an eel. It's quite intriguing really, because you get no bites for ages, and then all of a sudden you start getting bites, and now pretty much you're reeling, you've got no maggots, so you know an eel's had it. But it's seriously tough fishing, but this method's worked well, so I'm going to get my head down now, keep fishing this for the last half hour, and hopefully with any luck I might get another eel or a perch and try and get close to my target of 5 pound. But after the match I'll show you the rig I'm using. It's pretty simple, but this is just a really effective method for me fishing on hard days here at Evesham. I decided to fish this little feeder down my peg because obviously to start with I was double banked, so that kind of ruled out fishing over towards the far bank. And as I mentioned, I know it's a really snaggy peg, so what I've done is I've chucked sort of 2/3 of the way down my peg, down the middle of the river, and I found a nice clear spot there, so I haven't had any trouble with the snags. Best bait's just been single bronze maggot. I still like to clip up when I'm fishing this little maggot feeder, so I know I'm dropping it in the same spot every time. And I'll just keep casting it as regular as I can, just to try and encourage the fish to feed and get them in a sort of tighter area. You know, you're probably only going to feed 1/4 of a pint of maggots on the line when you're fishing like this, but I don't know why, for some reason, it seems to really work well. Oh, at least the sun's gone in a little bit now in this last part of the match. It's been really fierce all day, and I'm sure if we fished on into the evening we'd probably catch a lot of fish, but it's always hard fishing in the middle of the day here.
Yes, please, Bob. Check it out. All good, yeah?
Probably the best net of fish so far, Spud. Just a little bit small.
3, 4, 12.
Cheers, Anne.
Cheers.
20 cents.
20 cents. Just about to line it. 27. No, it's 26, yeah.
Yes, please.
It's head in there. Bob's up. No. Wowza. Bag of fish. Ease up. Easy. Might be a bit more. Never. Not until I've seen demos, right?
Hold on, mate. I can't do that, can I? Yeah.
He said he'd given up smoking, so he's fishing for an hour and a half longer than he used to.
Good for a pond, isn't it? 14, 15, 0.
Well done, eh? Joking, I knew.
They're only small deals.
Well, it's having a Ricky joke.
James is the only one who's told the truth today, to me.
Well, I weighed £3.1 in the end. I didn't catch any more eels in that last half hour, although I did miss a couple of bites, so I think there was another one there. I don't think that's going to be good enough for my section. I know Paul Passmore down on 76 has had a small tench and some other fish, so I think he'll better that. And I think my target weight of £5 is going to be about right for qualifying. We'll have to wait and see what the results bring, but I thought I'd quickly show you the rigs that I used, the two main rigs that I've caught some fish on anyway. The bread rig at the start, I was using this 1.5 gram rig. That's a Sensor's Jean-Francois float. Obviously it's deep, it's 14 or 15 foot deep, so I needed some weight to get down and fish the punch effectively. The rig's quite simple really. I've got an Olivet, and then I've got 3 number 10s below spread out. I can make a double bulk if I want to fish it more positively, but that's about as simple as it gets really. My hook length was an 08 hook length to an 18 B511. I did scale down to a 07 and a 20 hook, and the main line's 011. But really, that just got me a few bites at the start, and that fizzled out to nothing. I think, as I mentioned, you needed a shallower peg today really to catch the roach and pommies, something with a bit more pace. But this was my little feeder rig. That's the rig I mentioned, and the way of fishing that can be so effective on tough days. The rod I'm using is our CR10 11 foot number 1, which is a lovely soft rod. I fished the 1 ounce tip on that. The main line was 017, so around about £3, and that's the little feeder that I was using. I make these myself out of some old style maggot feeders that are quite long. Cut them down. I take the weight off the side, and I like to use a little drill bullet like that. And I just find they fish really, really well here. They cast very easily, accurately. I don't use too long a paternoster, particularly on a snaggy peg like this. And it's very simple, just a free running rig on top of that gripper stop there. I like a free running rig, especially when I'm fishing for eels. All the bites I've had that I've hooked on the eels have been really positive bites, and I don't think they feel any resistance from the running rig. And fish a fairly long hook length, something like 4 or 5 foot, and quite fine. I was using 011 Vesp Pro hook length and a 18 or 20 carbon match. So very, very simple, but a really finesse way of fishing really. And okay, if I was catching more eels, you know, on a better day, I'd scale up and try and fish a bit heavier, but I think fishing finer on a tough day like this when it's bright, the river's low, makes a big difference. So that was the best rig today, and I'm going to get back to the ferry now, have a nice beer and see how the match has ended up.
In 5th place, picking up £125, is Steve Pierpoint with £7.8 off peg 2. In 4th place, picking up £140, is Rob Shreves with £9 dead off peg 8. In 3rd place, picking up £160, is Mark Harrington with £10.9 off peg 26. In 2nd place, picking up £180 with £12 2 ounce 4 drams, is Demo off peg 36. And your winner today, picking up £200, is Ian Sutherland with 14.15. And he was on peg 32.
Well done, Ian, qualifying on the first day of the season. Fantastic, off peg 32. And 32, you know, it's a nice peg, but it's not what you'd expect to qualify in that zone. You know, you've got the Isborne pegs in there.
Yeah, definitely.
So well done. What did you weigh?
£14.15.
And what did you catch for that?
Right, so that was 33 fish, because I do fish counts. There was 3 eels, 16 perch and 14 chub.
Wow.
27 of the fish were caught in the first 2 hours, and that probably weighed about 13.5 pounds of the 14.15. So
wow.
I'm really scratched for 3 hours.
But you must have thought you were on for a big weight then if you caught that after 2 hours.
Well, yeah, but Evesham being Evesham, you're always waiting for it to switch off.
Yeah.
So I knew it wasn't going to last much longer. But yeah,
well,
2 hours is a good time.
What were your tactics? Were you float fishing, feeder fishing?
I was feeder fishing, all through. I didn't even bring a float rod today. I decided on the peg, because you can get a barbel on that peg as well.
Yeah.
So it's out and out feeder, and there's 80 people fishing today. So you know you're going to need a reasonable weight, I guess, to qualify. So yeah, happy
Well,
days.
I'll tell you what, I think you've done brilliant to qualify for 32.
Thank you.
Ian's a regular here, fishes most of the qualifiers, has been in the final quite a few times as well.
Yeah.
So I need to up my game a bit, I think,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
fish a few more qualifiers, and hopefully I'll join you in the final.
Well, I'll give you a few tips if you after this. If you
I'm
like.
going to interrogate you, yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers, well done.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Well, just before I go, I wanted to introduce Glenn Robinson. And well done for winning your section today, Glenn.
Yeah, thanks, Jamie. It's been a hard day, but I've enjoyed it.
Well done, well done. Well, Glenn and Ian Jennings are instrumental in running the Evesham Youth group, which is an absolutely fantastic organisation. I mean, I remember Evesham Youth going back to when I was a kid in the Starlets. You know, Evesham were our arch rivals, really. But the club's doing well, isn't it?
It is, it is. It's been going for an awful long time. Our president, he actually coached Ian when Ian was a kid. And although he's finding it difficult now because he's in his 80s, he's still very much part of the club. And yeah, it is doing well. We've had a resurgence over recent years. I think a lot of the credit has to go to Ian because he's brought in a lot of kids. And yeah, it's looking healthy. It's looking healthy.
I think it's absolutely fantastic, and it's Cyril you're talking about, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, Cyril's the president, and you have a really fantastic Monday night league that starts on Monday, doesn't it?
We do. Yeah, it starts next Monday, 5 o'clock on the meadows, and we're there really to coach and introduce and coach and encourage kids into fishing. Over the last few years. It's an eight-week series, and over the last few years we must have had between 12 and 20 kids turn up.
Yeah.
All age groups, all skills. You don't have to be a great angler. You can be like new to angling.
Yeah.
We get quite a lot of girls coming along as well, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
So it's a really great evening.
Well, I think what you and Ian are doing is absolutely fantastic. It's brilliant for young anglers. We need young anglers into the sport, and that's something that we're really passionate about, you know, with Cadence and myself. You're sitting on a bench there that's dedicated to Ken and Janice Ask, and they were the founders of the Junior Starlets, and they got me into fishing. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have got into fishing. So I really think it's fantastic what you're doing. So
no, thank you.
Thank you, and thanks to Ian. I look forward to coming to some of the junior matches in the Monday night series, and we're really proud to sponsor it.
Yeah, and I thanks to Cadence as well, because I think it's so important to encourage youngsters into fishing.
Yeah.
It's a sport that's been going on for a long time, and let's hope it goes on for many years to come as well.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Glenn. We should mention Smithy's angling as well.
Yep.
Scott's really instrumental in supporting the group, and also Manor Angling as well.
Yep.
So thanks to them, and thanks to you.
Thank you very much, Jamie. Lovely speaking to you.
Cheers, Glenn.
All the best.
Well, it's been fantastic to get back out match fishing on the river again here at Evesham. And my prediction proved to be about right. Paul Passmore did well to win our section with just under £5. So well done, Paul. And Steve Peters actually qualified in my zone off the MPEG. Steve had over £8, so he did really well. I think my target of £5 was about right. On another day, maybe with a bit more luck, I think I could have won the section or maybe even pushed for qualification, but it was a tough peg on the day. But that's how it goes with Evesham. There's some really good areas. The fishing's tough, but you've got to stick at it and do your best, and it's always tight. So I think you're always in with a chance of doing well. So thanks to everyone here, thanks to Di, thanks to all the staff, and thanks for watching.